Hey there students, I'm XS, that's little x, little s, which stands for extra sweet, because that's what I am. Today we're going to continue to learn Hiragana together. Actually, in this video you will learn all the remaining Hiragana characters, more or less. We're going to finish up the main Hiragana today, so by the time you finish this video, you will have seen all the Hiragana. So what will you learn in video 4 then? Well, as a little preview, Hiragana can sometimes appear in different forms. So make sure you come back for the next video so you'll be fully prepared and understand all the different Hiragana and their forms. Before we start learning today's content though, make certain that you've already watched the previous 2 videos in this series. Remember, each of these videos is designed to build on the previous one, so make sure you really know everything that we've learned already so that you have a firm foundation going forward. Alright, well, without any more rambling from me, let's learn some Hiragana. Do you remember the content that we covered in the last video? I'll quickly go through it to help cement it in your brains. Here is the ta-gyo. This is the one with some tricky pronunciations. It's ta, chi, tsu, te, to. As we discussed before, there are no t or tu sounds in Japanese. So make sure when you see these, you're thinking in your head, ta, chi, tsu, te, to. Ta, chi, tsu, te, to. And this is the na-gyo, nani nu ne no, nani nu ne no. Pretty straightforward and not too difficult at all. And lastly, we also learned ha hi hu he ho, the ha-gyo. The thing to remember with this, it's hu or sometimes fu. It's a sound like you're breathing through your lips. I think of it like the motion of trying to see your breath when it's cold out. And also the character he, which is sometimes he and sometimes e. I'll explain more about that in a future video, but for now, just be comfortable seeing it and thinking he or e. So, if we put together all the hiragana that we've learned so far, we have these. A, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, sa, shi, su, se, so, ta, chi, tsu, te, to, na, ni, nu, ne, no, and ha, hi, hu, he, ho. We've actually learned a lot, and I want you to know that I'm really proud of you. Well done. You deserve a treat and a head pat. Well, now I think it's time to start taking on the next set of hiragana. So today we're going to start with the ma-gyo, or the M sounds. Here is ma. Actually, this might look a little familiar to you. It looks like ho, but without the vertical line in the front, right? They're similar. Ma, ho. Let's use ma to make a new word. Uma. Uma. And uma means horse. Next is me. I mean, not me, not like me XS, but me, the hiragana. This is me. And with me, we can make imi. Imi is a very important word in Japanese, and it's one that we're going to hear quite a lot in some of my future videos, because imi means meaning. In the future, I'll be asking you the question, nani nani no imi wa nan desu ka? Which means, what does this or that mean? Koinu no imi wa nan desu ka? Puppy. The meaning of koinu is puppy. Imi no imi wa nan desu ka? Shiteru? What's the meaning of meaning? Do you know? I guess I don't. That's why I'm asking you. I mean, let's be honest. The meaning of meaning is treats and head pats, right? This hiragana is mu. I haven't really talked to you much yet about how to write hiragana, but this one is 3 strokes, 3 lines. Your pencil should hit your paper 3 times. 1 line across, 1 line that goes down, does a loop, and swirls all the way across the bottom and back up. And then finally 1 extra little line just above that. I'll do some lessons on writing at some point, but again, my intent right now is just to introduce you slowly to each character so that you've seen it and you know how it's pronounced. So this is mu, like a cow. Let's use mu to make Nomu. Nomu means to drink. Mizu o nomu. I drink water. What's your favorite drink? Sound off in the comments. And this character is meh. It looks a lot like new. Remember new and it kind of looked like a bit like a noodle? Well, my headcanon is that somebody took a bite of their noodle and they didn't enjoy it. And they thought, that noodle was meh. And so they left it. Meh. If we add e and shi to meh, we get the word meishi. Meishi means business card. Okay, so this is an obligatory conversation about meishi in Japan. Have you ever seen the movie American Psycho, or at least know the meme with Patrick Bateman sharing his business card with all those other business guys? Meishi are very important in Japan. I mean, they aren't exactly kill your coworker with an axe important, but there's a sense where your meishi is sort of like a stand-in for your actual person. Status and achievement are very important in Japan, and your business card is sort of a representative of your public face. So I think pretty much every Japanese teacher really has to say this, but there are 3 rules of etiquette that you should follow with Japanese business cards. 1. When someone gives you their business card, take it with both hands. 2. Read it carefully without bringing it too close to your face. And 3. It's considered very impolite to put away someone's business card while you're still in front of them. Wait until they're gone and then put it somewhere safe. Basically, you're treating their business card as if it were their person. So treat it with respect. Alright, lecture on meishi over. Ijo desu. That's it. Our next hiragana is mo. I don't have a funny joke about that. It's just mo. I really do like the movie WALL-E, though. Let's use mo to make mochi. You know what mochi is. The class where I used to help all the students once took a field trip to a mochi making class. It was one of the best days of my life because I got to eat a lot of mochi that the students snuck to me in secret. Natsukashi. I'm feeling nostalgic for mochi. So that's mami mumemo. Not too hard, right? Mami mumemo. Y'all are so good at this. Let's move on to our Y sounds. Here's ya. Ya! And this word is heya. Heya! Ba 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 ba. Heya means room. Specifically, it means like a room in a building, not necessarily give me some room. So next would be what? We're doing the Y sounds, so a, I, U, E, O, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko, etc. This one should be ye, right? I'm afraid not. This is you. That's because Japanese doesn't have ye. Thank goodness. Actually, there are only 3 characters on the ya-gyo. There's ya, you, and yo. Yi and ye may have existed sometime in the past, but they don't now, so you don't need to worry about it. Hey, another little interesting fact. There's a whole class of hiragana variants that are very rare in Japanese. They're called hentai gana. That's a funny word. You know, for reasons. Anyway, let's use you to make fuyu. Fuyu means winter. Winter and fall are my favorite seasons. What are your favorite seasons? Let me know in the comments. Alright, so I told you that Japanese has 3 Y sounds, and we learned ya and you. So the last one is yo. This is yo. I don't know. Somehow I always really liked the way this hiragana looks. It gives me a strangely majestic feeling. Just look at him. Being all yo and stuff. Let's use yo to make ohayo. Ohayo is our first aisatsu, or greeting phrase. It means, of course, good morning. Common mistake that English speakers make when they're writing the word ohayo. We seem to want to put an E sound between ha and yo, and it really doesn't need one. It should be o-ha-yo-u, ohayo. You often hear the E slip through just because the Y in yo kind of melds together. So sometimes it sounds like ohayo, and it really should be ohayo. Anyway, that's it for the ya gyo. Just 3 new hiragana. Ya, you, yo. Really easy. Now, let's move on to another somewhat tricky set of hiragana, at least in terms of pronunciation. We're going to talk about those R sounds in Japanese. You may already know this, but it's often said that Japanese doesn't have an L sound. Well, that's half true. In my opinion, the Japanese R is halfway between an R and an L. When we make an L sound in English, our tongue is way back against our soft palate at the roof of our mouth. La, la. When we make an R sound in English, our tongue is usually flat. Ra, ra. But when you make an R in Japanese, your tongue should start behind your teeth and then flick downward. Ra, ra. So with the hiragana ra that we see here, it should be ra, 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 and not ra, ra, ra. Think of it as trying to make the R sound and the L sound at the same time. Don't get discouraged, and if all else fails, default to a standard R. Think of it as trying to make the R sound and the L sound at the same time. Don't get discouraged, and if all else fails, default to a standard R. Let's use ra to make the word chikara. Chikara means power or strength. It's not necessarily a skill, the way we would say, I'm skilled at something. Chikara is more like physical force. I am a powerful doggo. Next is ri. Of all of the R sounds, I find this the most difficult to get right. It's that R and E hybrid that for some reason I just find slightly tricky. Ri, ri. I wonder if that comes easier to native speakers of Spanish who can easily and naturally roll their R sounds. I can't do that. This word is kumori. Kumori means cloudy. I think many people don't like cloudy weather, but actually it's my favorite. I love to sit by a window on cloudy days and bark at cars as they go by. Here's ru. Remember in my last video when I talked about the way some sounds in Japanese are more common than others? Well, this is one of those common ones. That's because ru is the ending to a whole lot of Japanese verbs. Actually, there's a whole class of verbs in Japanese that are just called ru verbs. Watch for that in a future video. Let's make just one of those verbs now. This is hashiru. Hashiru means to run. Running doggo. Next is re. Now that I think about it, the Japanese L and R sound can sometimes almost sound like a D. Re, re, re. Compare de and re. I hope you can hear the difference, but also they sound just a little similar, don't they? Oh, right. Remember in my last video when I introduced you to ne, and I told you that there are a few hiragana in Japanese that follow that same pattern? This is one of those. Re kind of looks like ne, but without the little curl at the end. And this word is rekishi. Rekishi means history. I really like Japanese history too. Manager-sama, do you think I can make videos about Japanese history, or would that be too boring to people? Okay, one last Nagio hiragana, and it's ro. It sort of looks like ru, right? But without the little curve right at the end. Let's make another word that I do not like. Ofuro. Ofuro. Ofuro means bath. No bath. Doggos do not like baths. Well, some doggos like baths, but a lot of doggos get anxious in the water. Wow, we are really coming close to the end of the main hiragana sounds. Na, di, do, re, do. Na, di, do, re, do. Actually, I think this one is the most fun to say. Na, di, do, re, do. Na, di, do, re, do. We are so close now. This is wa. Now, I'm going to call back to the hagyo that we talked about in the last video. Remember ha? Well, ha can also be pronounced wa in a special circumstance. Most times when you see this hiragana, the one that we're learning right now, wa, it will be part of a noun or a verb. This is the wa from watashi. But sometimes ha, the one that we learned before, can be pronounced wa when it's used as a particle. I'll talk more about that when we get into my lessons on the use of particles in Japanese. Not like light particles. You'll figure it out when we get there, don't worry. Also, wa is another one of those hiragana that kind of look like ne and re. So, ne is the one with the loop at the end. Re is the one with the sassy little flip at the end. And wa just sort of curls down. You might get them confused, so please be careful. Using wa, we can make the word niwa. Niwa means garden. It's also yard, so garden in the sense of the British use of garden. When I think of garden and I think of yard, I'm thinking of two entirely different things. So when I became friends with a bunch of British people, I found it odd that they would talk about going out back to the garden. It gave me the impression that my British friends had these elaborate landscapes behind their houses, and I was a little let down to find out that it was really just a yard. Not that there's anything wrong with yards. I love yards. Anyway, niwa, garden. Okay, so this hiragana used to be pronounced wo a long time ago. But now it's just pronounced o, just like the hiragana o that we learned in the agyo. This o is never used in any words, literally never. It's only ever used as a particle. Again, I'll talk more about particles in a future lesson, but basically a particle is like a helping character that doesn't really mean anything, but gives identity to the words in your sentence. It sounds tricky, but you'll get it. Since there are no words that use wo, let's learn a sentence with the o particle. Sushi o tsukuru. Sushi o tsukuru means to make sushi, or making sushi, or I make sushi. So that o particle is basically answering the question, what are you making? I don't want to get too deep into particles right now, so just remember that this is pronounced o. My dear students, this is it. We've really come to the last main hiragana. It's n. This character is n. It's a sound that you make by putting your tongue to the top of your mouth and kind of making a nasal noise, like our n, but only half of it. Remember, I told you that in Japanese, you're never going to have a consonant all by itself, right? I told you that. Yeah, that was a lie. You actually can have n sitting all by itself, but it has to come at the end of another sound, like kan, or shin, or fun, or ron. Even now, Japanese is playing tricks on us. Let's make one last word for today. Koen. A koen is a park. Sort of specifically a public park, since that ko part at the front of the word really means something like shared, or publicly available, or sometimes official. I love going to the park. Maybe I'll get to go on walkies today. So these last three characters that we learned, you can kind of think of them as leftovers. Wa, o, n. They don't exactly follow the pattern of everything else that we've learned, so they get to be off on their own a little bit. Alright, pop quiz time. Well, you already knew there was going to be a quiz, so it isn't exactly a surprise. Just like we've done before, please try your best to pronounce this word. What is it? It's going to be easy for you to remember because this word means I, and it's watashi, right. Be careful of wa, since it looks a little bit like ne and de. Actually, there are a lot of ways to refer to yourself in Japanese. Maybe even enough that one day I should do a whole video on I. The word watashi always makes me think of the movie Kimi no Na wa, or Your Name in English. It's an incredibly beautiful anime, and maybe like my favorite ever. Or at least tied with Wait a minute. Y'all are trying to get me to start talking about anime so I'd forget about the quiz, won't you? Grrr. Bad students. What's this word? It means island, so legitimately you really do use it a lot in Japan, since Japan has a ton of islands. Did you say shima? I hope so. Okay, what's this one? I like this word a lot, actually. It means magic, so if you watch a lot of anime, you probably already know it. Nope, I'm not going to start talking about anime again. Anyway, yes, this is maho. Actually, one of my followers uses part of the word maho in her name. Okay, this next one is pronounced... Wait, no. See, y'all are getting me all distracted. You tell me how this is pronounced, please. It means ocean. So how would you say it? That's right, umi. Just a few left. Please say this word for me. This word means something like capital city, but it's also sort of synonymous with Kyoto, and it's Miyako. Yeah. Careful to make sure you get the E sound in there. This is Miyako, not Miyako. Just something to remember. Hint, hint. Okay. This one. You know it, right? Please say it. I can't wait. I'm going to explode. How do you say this word? It's puppy, which means you say it koinu. Puppy. Eee. Last one. How do you say this? The meaning is something like paint, or to paint, or at least to coat something in a substance. Like to completely and totally cover something in a liquid. Anyway, yeah, you say it nudu. I think that's fun to say. Nudu. Nudu. Also, I really like to paint, so, you know, fun word for me. Okay, students, if you can believe it, we've now really seen every Hiragana character. There are still some details that we need to sort out in the next video. Actually, the next video will probably be my longest in this series because we actually have a lot more to talk about. It's not hard though. I think, really, you're through all the tough stuff. If you can memorize all the Hiragana that we've learned so far, I think you're going to find the fourth lesson to be really easy actually. Please like and subscribe for me. Manager Sama says that if this video gets a lot of likes, I can go outside. Remember, lead with love. I've been XS. See you later. Mata ne!